Nettles, and I think people are usually pretty surprised when they see me cooking them because they're kind of just known as a weed or a pest, because when you touch them, it really hurts. I had to wear gloves when I was harvesting them earlier. But what people don't know sometimes is that if you blanch them in water, they actually no longer hurt, and they're actually packed with a lot of nutrients. And so they come up early in the spring. They're this bright green color. Today we're going to turn them into a pesto, but you can also turn them into a soup. Before we had like kind of our modern standards of nutrition, these coming up in the spring was like a really good sign of nutrition, because you can like make a soup or something out of these. They come up like they've been up for weeks now, and before you have all of your other like good crops coming in, these can give you some very like much needed nutrition. Take a look here close. You'll see these like tiny little thorns. Those are all coated with that oil, and putting them in the heat breaks that down, so it no longer like can penetrate your skin and hurt you. Is that good?
I'm the Lazarus Fellow at the Yale Sustainable Food Program, and every Friday the YSFP hosts a weekly food systems colloquium. So what that looks like is we start with a 2-hour workday on the farm. Students from across the community, across the different schools, and also anyone from New Haven is welcome to come up here, do some different farm tasks that are led by our undergraduate farm managers and also our farm manager Jeremy. And then everyone comes up to the pavilion for Need to Know, where we have a student present their food systems research for about 15 minutes, and then afterward we all enjoy pizza together that's been prepared by our undergraduate culinary events managers.
Since you went underground, I've wanted to dig you out.
When we launched our campaign, we started having conversations with other people at the school to just see what they knew about food insecurity, if they had heard of other students experiencing this, if they themselves had experienced this. And we learned from some then second years that when everything shut down, things went virtual, and they realized that a bunch of their friends, a bunch of YSC students, had been relying on the free food from YSC events. There are a lot of events that give lunches or little snacks or dinners even throughout the week. And a lot of students had been relying on that for a substantial part of the food that they eat in the week. And so when those events stopped happening, suddenly they found themselves without that source of food, and they were hungry, and they couldn't afford to fill in that gap themselves. Food insecurity has a lot of really varying definitions. The USDA defines food insecurity as the limited or uncertain availability of nutritionally adequate and safe foods. And how I conceptualize food insecurity personally is knowing where your next meal is going to come from consistently. So we ran a survey back in the spring to determine what the rate of food insecurity at YSC was. We used the 6-module USDA food insecurity survey. It's 6 questions basically, and there are questions that ask like, in the last 12 months, have you ever skipped meals because there wasn't enough money to buy more food? Or have you ever reduced the size of your meals because there wasn't enough money to have food? And there's 6 of those kind of questions based on our USDA questions, and we went through IRB process to do this, so it's very like standardized, above the board kind of survey. We wanted it to be as airtight as possible. We found that 33% of students that took our survey were food insecure, which is triple the national average of about 10.2%. I think that this really kind of came from questioning that and examining that trope, like, okay, we expect students, graduate students, maybe even in particular, to be hungry, to be starving, to be poor. But what if that weren't true?
favorite spot in Styles, the Ezra Styles Buttery, also known as the Moose Butt. So the Buttery is this place open every school night from 10 to 1 a.m. You can come here, get some snacks, hang out with friends, play chess, play board games. It's a socializing space where people also eat snacks and do homework and things of that nature.
Buttery is this magical place in the basement of Ezra Styles College where there are students who are employed by the college who come Sundays through Thursdays, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. and they make cheap food in the kitchen, and I eat a lot of it.
I think the prices are pretty convenient. I think it's not expensive. There are some bargains, I would say, in the Buttery.
I think the prices of the Buttery are very good. Extremely cheap. $1 for 6 chicken nuggets, $1 for a panini pressed PB&J, $1.50 for a milkshake. Now, if you go to a Shake Shack type, they would charge you like $6 for a milkshake.
My name is Oscar Heller, and I work at the Buttery in Styles College. I make food, like easy stuff like quesadillas and stuff. It's fun, you know. I guess you just like listen to music, and you can, you know, just make it like random shit you want to eat, and then you just, you know, you can eat it because it's free. We get free food from the Buttery, so.
I know graduate students, and I imagine they are not on the meal plan.
Well, you don't know any undergraduate students?
I don't know any undergraduates who aren't on the meal plan. I mean, I know plenty who are on the 5 a week plan, but I don't know any who are not on one at all.
I feel like I know where my next meal is coming from. With the dining hall, with restaurants, I've never had to worry about where to find food.
Overwhelmingly, the majority of students, considering all of food security and food insecure students, said that they didn't have enough time to shop for and prepare nutritious food. But if you look at the breakdown of food secure versus food insecure students and how they responded to that question, overwhelmingly food insecure students identified cost as the biggest barrier. The most food insecure students still are not going to be able to afford the necessary food that they need, even if you bus them to an affordable grocery store, right? They're not going to be able to afford like good, healthy amounts of like healthy, good, desirable foods, right? You bus them out there, maybe they get a 6-pack of ramen, you know, and then that's still food insecurity. Like ever since COVID, right? Food prices have kept going up. All the supply chain disruptions at the beginning of COVID obviously made things more expensive and more inconsistent, but since then, prices have continued to rise. We're experiencing a lot of inflation right now. It's not a budgeting issue. It's just an affordability issue. It's that we're all paying a lot of money in tuition, and we're paying a lot of money for rent, and we're paying a lot of money for really expensive groceries. And even the most affordable grocery stores, it's gonna be expensive to get a week's worth of groceries. Most students identified financial assistance as the best or the ideal solution to food insecurity. So not even necessarily something like a food pantry, though I think that was in the top 3 most common solutions identified, but most students said that some sort of financial assistance, like a food stipend, increased financial aid, or some sort of subsidized food, like discounts or vouchers for local food stores, would be most helpful. Since we've analyzed our survey results, we've spoken to the dean. He's been a lot more receptive. He's acknowledged that this is an issue. He's seen our survey results, wants to help us come up with some solutions. And so we're gonna be reaching out more to admin in the coming weeks as this semester wraps up to give them our survey results now that they're ready and we've got the statistics prepared. I've got some figures made up. We really hope that that's gonna be enough.
It was just really really surprising, honestly. 30% of like YSE students food insecure. Like we give a lot of financial aid at Yale College, so I didn't really know it worked differently in the graduate school, so I thought a lot of that stuff was just dealt with. Well, I'm just on the meal plan, so all my meals are accounted for, and I guess it makes sense that graduate schools don't have the same thing, but to be honest, I never really thought about it or considered it.